Hello and welcome back to the Enough Mom podcast. I am Jennifer Bryant and we are on episode 116. And we are on episode 116, From Burnt Out to Lit Up. Rediscovering what makes you come alive. Goodness, you guys. So much has happened between the recording of last week's episode and this week's episode. I recorded last week's episode just as I was about to catch an Uber to get on a plane to go see my family. I spent the last week with my family. My sister's having baby number 4, and I went to help them get their house sort of decluttered and cleaned up and ready for the new baby because, more kids means you have to shift how you use things in the home. And so I just consider that such a privilege, number one, to be asked to come in and do that. But number two, it's a way that I get to operate in my gifting. I really believe that because I love to reorganize things. It's just the mental process mixed with the physical process that brings so much joy to see the progress, right? And because I knew I was going for a very limited amount of time, very open and closed amount of time, I knew we could get things done pretty quickly. So I get there and I land and I'm like, oh no, I am sick. I had totally brought my sickness on the plane with me because the weekend before I did a speech and debate tournament and my body had just taken a beating. So I went there sick, but I was determined to not let the trip be a waste. I hydrated and I slept as much as I could, but we got things done. We got them done. And so it would have been really, really easy to burn out if I didn't say, okay, guys, I love you, but I have to go to bed now. I need to get at least 7 hours sleep so that I'm rejuvenated for the next day so I can kick this cold in the butt. And, taking the vitamins, taking the acetaminophen type stuff, it was just, it was a whirlwind. So my body and my mind have been through a lot this week, but I'm coming back and I'm sticking to my plan of recording an episode every single week for you. And really it's for me too. It's to stay consistent because this year for me, 2026 is all about consistency. It's showing up when I say I'm going to show up, and I'm proving to myself really that the creative projects that I commit to will be done. I mean, thank God I feel much better today and I'm able to speak semi-clearly. So I'm excited to bring you this new episode. And it's so crazy that it happens to be about burnout. I planned this episode weeks ago before I had even planned to possibly be burnt out on things. But I came home today. I led speech and debate club, came home today, and my kids and my husband are out. So I'm going, what better time is there to just record the next episode, get it done, get it cut, get it out of the way, and move on and do laundry and dishes later, right? Sometimes, and you might know what I mean by this, mama, sometimes you just gotta put some things off until later so that you can get the important stuff done now. And I don't consider laundry or dishes that important compared to these things that I've been called to do. There will always be laundry and dishes, but I get to use my energy and my time for this right in front of me. So here we go. Let's talk about some burnout. So when was the last time you did something that made you feel alive? Not productive, not accomplished, not checked off a list, truly alive. When I've been in the busiest seasons of motherhood, I cannot think of the last time I did something just for me. I mean, lately my kids are older and I'm able to have more time for myself, but a lot of times my thoughts will plague me and gnaw at me and remind me, Jen, you really should do that. Oh, see that corner over there? You could reorganize that. Or, oh, that thing is not in its place and you can do that with this and blah. There are 1,000 unmade decisions at any given point in every single day. But when you decide to do things just for your own enjoyment, I think there's research out there about that. I should have looked it up before I did this podcast, but I'm sure that there is proof out there that when you give yourself the privilege of enjoying yourself for a little bit of time every day, you're a whole lot less likely to burn out. So if you can't remember the last time that you truly felt energized by your life, this episode is for you. This is what I've learned as a mom these last 17 years. Burnout is not a badge of honor. It really is not. It is not proof that you're a good mom. It is a warning sign to your body that you need to rest. And if me saying that makes you laugh, like, yeah, right, Jen, when am I going to rest? Who's going to give me the privilege of doing that? I'm the one who runs the show. I'm the one who has to make all the decisions. Girlfriend, I hear you. I hear you on that. But honestly, a lot of times the decisions that we continue to make in our life that leads to burnout is because we don't ask for help, is because we don't say, honestly, whoever you're talking to, your friend, your spouse, your mom, whoever, honestly, I'm feeling run down and I need a break. But why in the world do moms feel like they can't ask for that or that they can't say that out loud? Again, the episode we did last week on shame, if your inability to say no to things continues to feed the cycle of you feeling like a failure, no one's going to be able to break out of that cycle but you. No one will advocate for you, most likely, but yourself, okay? This is what I would say to you if you were sitting in front of me right now. And it does not take a lot of time to rejuvenate yourself. Unless you've been running on empty and burning yourself out for years and years and years, your body may need to take a little bit more time to recover. But it does not take much time at all to give yourself the chance to rest. You may think, well, yeah, Jen, I rest, I lay down, I doom scroll on my phone at the end of the night. And I mean, is that a version of rest? Sure, it can be, but it's more like checking out than actual rejuvenation. What I'm talking about is the ability to put yourself in a situation where you truly enjoy that thing, whether it's art or movement or nature walks or just being alone, laughing with a girlfriend, going out, changing your scenery, anything where you get to just breathe and be you and take enjoyment in doing that thing rather than doing it out of an obligation or because it's another mom thing to check off the list or something. What truly makes you feel alive is going to help you to prioritize how you spend your time, what you say yes to, what you say no to. Burnout is a warning sign that you've lost connection with yourself. And today we're going to talk about how to reconnect and how to get that back, how to get back the things that we love so that we can be ourselves again. So here's the difference between being burnt out and being tired. They are not the same thing, and we tend to use those terms interchangeably. Being tired simply means that you need rest. You've been up too many nights with a sick kid. You've been working too many long hours. You've been pushing too hard on a project. But the solution to that can be sleep, a break, a vacation. So rest restores you when you're tired, but burnout is different. Burnout means that you need a reconnection to your purpose. You may be burnt out if you're exhausted even after resting. Maybe you've had a full night's sleep, but you still wake up dreading the day. You may be physically capable, but you are emotionally depleted. You're irritable, cynical, and very disconnected. But the solution for burnout is usually not more sleep. It's the need to get reconnected with your life and what makes you come alive. You can get 8 hours of sleep a night and still feel hollow. Ask me how I know. Thanks for asking. I'll tell you, there was a time in my life when I was sleeping enough. In fact, some days I would sleep too much. I would not want to get out of bed. And I remember that being a time in my life when my marriage was very unhappy. I was not communicating with my husband well. Actually, we were not communicating well with each other. There were a lot of expectations that I had put on myself. I had way too many obligations at church, some volunteer obligations in other places. I was allowing my kids' schedules to drive me instead of me setting our values on the table first and then deciding, okay, what do we need to be involved in? I was lonely. I had friends, but I was very, very lonely. I was hopeless about the direction of my marriage. Our relationship was not at all on the same page. I didn't even feel like my husband liked me. I didn't like him. We weren't not just not agreeing, but we weren't making time to sit in front of each other and figure out why there was such a huge divide between us. Fast forward to the good news, we ended up going to counseling. My husband and I have been sitting with our counselor now for the last 7 years. It's more of a maintenance type relationship now, but I tell you, our counselor has been there for us on some tough days and has gotten us through that whole therapeutic experience, has gotten us through many difficult times. But I tell you what, that burnout in that stage of my life led me to a deeper and darker depressive place than I ever thought I could go before. Little background, growing up as a Christian girl, Christian woman, I was sort of taught that you can't really get depressed if you're a Christian, if you're a believer, because that type of thing is from the enemy and you really couldn't. Well, I don't want to get into a whole religious discussion on this episode anyway, but there was a lot of conflicting ideas in my mind about what was okay to happen in the life of a woman of faith. I fully believe now that God's given us a brain to be able to process these things and to process the practical solutions of things, and a brain to be able to reconnect. The connection piece was so important to understand, to intentionally reconnect with each other and to be honest and to get things out there and on the table. And we're not, bad people. We're not sinners if we don't. We had to work out a lot of those things that felt very crumpled and ugly and that were sort of soaked in a lot of assumption rather than the practicality of coming together, having honest conversations, being uncomfortable together. So I want to talk more about even this process that I'm describing now, the therapeutic process, healing marriages and things. And we'll get to more conversations like this here on the Enough Mom podcast. But all of those things were just feeding into my inability to see life as wonderful and beautiful like I do now. I lean into these creative processes that I'm able to do now because I'm coming at it from a place of healing. And I want you to experience things like that too, Mama. You do not need to be led around by everyone else's priorities. You do not need to sacrifice yourself at the altar of whatever you think a good mom is supposed to do or be. I want you to let yourself off the hook for some of those things by, listening to our stories and connecting with real people here on podcasts who are willing to tell you the truth about things. So burnout doesn't just happen all at once. It doesn't happen because of one event. Usually it's kind of a slow roll. It's a slow drip of many unhealed things. So consider that. Consider that if you have other difficult or stressful situations in your life, consider bringing those to the front and examining them honestly. Start journaling, maybe see a therapist. Sit with someone who can help you to untangle things that are uncomfortable, things that you may not have wanted to look at before, because burnout does not need to last forever. But it certainly does feel like a deep hole that you can't crawl out of. It can feel like that because burnout is not just about physical exhaustion. It's about soul exhaustion. When your soul is just heavy, weighed down and heavy, and everything feels so sad, so hopeless. But I'm here to tell you that there is hope. I promise that there is hope. And you do not need to sink further just because you can't see the end of the tunnel. You'll get there. You'll get there. Mothers who experience burnout are usually the mothers who give and give and give and give until they're empty. Research on maternal burnout, meaning burnout related to motherhood, shows that mothers experience a unique form of burnout characterized by emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, in other words, feeling disconnected from yourself, and a reduced sense of personal accomplishment. Studies show that up to 70% of mothers report feeling burnt out at some point, right? I wouldn't argue with that one. But the solution is not rest. It's actually reconnection. It's reconnecting to who you are beyond mom, right? It's a role that you fulfill. It's not all of who you are. It's reconnecting with what energizes you, not just what needs to be done. I mean, laundry and dishes are right over there staring me in the face. They need to be done, but they don't define me. I get to do them because I get to take care of my house, right? And that's how I choose to think about it. But doing these chores are not what makes me a good mom. Part of being a good mom is doing the work to get to know my kids and what they need and communicating love and respect to them. It's all the things that come together, and the things that I choose to do for them out of love should be an outpouring of that, and not necessarily because it's built into my identity as a mother. These are all things I get to do, and I get to love doing them because of the joy and satisfaction it brings me, because of the growth overall that I see, right? And them and myself and all the things that our kids teach us, you know? So on the hard days when we have to dig really, really, really deep, we're not just exhausted because we're tired, because our bodies have done a lot, because we just finished being sick, because we just finished, cleaning out this or that, or handling a difficult child, or helping them during sickness or whatever. Those are the things that moms do, but they don't define us. When we're burnt out, these are the times when we really lose our sense of purpose, when we don't feel valuable, when we don't see our inner worth, or when we keep waiting to be validated by something or someone else. That's when we need to come back and reconnect with the truth of who we are and reconnect with our purpose so that we can build our value back up in our mind again. Here are 8 specific indicators that you might be burnt out, because recognizing burnout is the first step to addressing it. Sign number 1, everything feels like an obligation. Even things you used to enjoy feel like items on a to-do list. Playing with your kids feels like a chore. Going on a date night with your husband feels like an obligation. Nothing is fun. Everything is a duty. Sign number 2, you're irritable, even in good moments. Maybe your kids are playing nicely, but their laughter annoys you. Your spouse tries to help, but you're critical. Your friend invites you to coffee, but you're resentful of the time that it's going to take away from all the other stuff you have to do. Even objectively good things feel like burdens. Sign number 3, you can't remember the last time you laughed freely. Not a polite chuckle, not a forced smile, but real laughter from your belly. Joy feels like a foreign concept when you're burnt out. Sign number 4, you're jealous of everyone else's life. Everyone on social media looks happy. Everyone else's kid seems so much easier. Everyone has it together, and the constant reminder is just painful. Sign number 5, you feel guilty even when you sit down. Rest feels wrong. Relaxing feels selfish. You can't just be, you always have to be doing. Even when you're exhausted, you can't let yourself stop without guilt. Sign number 6, you're fantasizing about running away. Maybe not in a harmful way, but in an escape way. You daydream about life where you don't have any responsibilities, where you could just disappear and no one would need you, where you can actually breathe without demands. I have definitely fantasized about running away. You know where my fantasy place is? A cabin in the woods somewhere, and I don't even know where, but someday I'm going to have my cabin in the woods time. But hopefully it's not because I'm totally tired of my life. Hopefully my cabin in the woods time will be a planned relaxation time, but we'll see. And sign number 7, you're functioning but not feeling. You're going through the motions, you're completing tasks, but you're numb. You're disconnected. You're watching your life happen and not really living it. And sign number 8, you don't recognize yourself anymore. You look in the mirror and think, who is this person? Who is this shell of a woman? She used to be energetic, passionate, and fun. But you don't know where she went. If you have felt any of these signs, or if you're currently feeling them now, would you drop a note in the comments? Just tell me which one, where do you feel like you are? If you feel like you're feeling all of them, sister, friend, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to tell somebody. Maybe it's time to call a counselor and just see what happens. Just allow yourself to be seen. It doesn't have to be by your family, and not all of us are that comfortable with coming out and saying, I'm having trouble, but you can certainly call a counselor and see someone who doesn't know you or your family and be able to unload what you're going through, because you can't hold this by yourself. You're not meant to. So consider talking to somebody, or at the very least, share with us here in the comments, because I know that many of you don't want to feel that alone right now. I'm going to take you through a little identity inventory exercise. It's just a few questions. And if you want to grab a piece of paper or a notebook or something and just write these questions down, write them down so you can ponder on them later. And I want to give you a little sneak peek of what I have put in my dream reconnection journal, because if you haven't picked one up already, you're going to want to take yourself through that as an exercise. I'll tell you more about that by the end of the episode. But for now, this is where we start reconnecting, okay? I want you to actually do this exercise with me and not just listen passively. So question number 1, before motherhood, what made you feel energized? Before motherhood, what made you feel energized? Close your eyes and think back. Before marriage, before kids, before college maybe, who were you? What did you love to do? You can even pause this podcast right here and think about it and write it down. Go ahead. I'll wait. Okay, so now that we're back, for me, I've always been a writer. I've always loved words. I loved journalism. I love investigative reporting. I wanted to be Lisa Ling when I grew up. I wanted to be Barbara Walters. I love connecting with the written word. I love sharing things with people. I've wanted to be a teacher since before I knew what it meant to be a teacher. I got my own whiteboard. I lined up my little stuffed animals and taught them in my room in my little playhouse. I've always loved pretending that I could help someone else. And look what I'm doing now. I'm podcasting, I'm teaching, I'm sharing, I'm a homeschool mom. I'm sort of living in the strength that has always been me. And that's how I know that that's what energizes me the most. That's why this particular creative project energizes me the most. Even though it's hard, it's not easy, but it's what helps me to come alive when I know that I'm living in that dream. Here's question number 2. What did you do that made time disappear? What activities made you so absorbed that you'd look up and hours had passed? What could you just do forever and ever and ever if no one stopped you? Go ahead and answer that question. For me, it was always writing, reading, having deep conversations, learning new things. I could get lost in research and books and thoughtful dialogue. I loved learning about animals when I was little. I loved reading the encyclopedia. Just things that I didn't know before and what books could teach me. I just jumped into that and I loved it. I love storytelling. I love daydreaming, just walking around my parents' backyard and pretending I was traveling to different places around the world. And today still, I love travel. I love it. So those things make me happy. Here's question number 3. What made you feel most like yourself? What made you feel most like yourself? What activities or environments made you think, this is who I really am? Go ahead and answer that question. So for me, this has always been teaching, speaking, encouraging others, having one-on-one conversations where I could help someone see themselves more clearly, where I could help someone problem solve something difficult that they needed to figure out. And now I know as an older adult, now I know that I can actually put those desires to good use, that I can actually work with people in those specific ways, and that I don't need a particular job or a particular university to degree to validate that for me, that I can do it. I can come online and do it. And people who want to follow will, and those who won't, and that's okay. Here's your next question. What did people compliment you on that had nothing to do with productivity? Not you're so organized or you get so much done, but compliments about who you really are. Not what you can accomplish, but who you are naturally. Go ahead and answer that. For me, it was always something like, you have a way with words. You have this ability to help people untangle complicated, complex ideas and make them simple. You make people feel seen. You help me think more clearly. You're encouraging. So I had to take those bits of feedback and not just figure out a way to not take a compliment or something. No, it's so much more than that. It's listen to the words that people use when they describe you. I actually made a product about this exactly. It's called How Do You See Me? And it's for any creative person who wants to do something with their gifts and their talents, but they don't quite see themselves yet. So it's a way for you to have an inventory gathering process with your friends, give it to them, and there's a whole script behind it, and I show you what to do with it and everything. And it helps you just to get closer to who you are and the types of things that you can do in the world based on what other people say about you, based on what your closest friends and your closest people say about you. Because we're not just asking any old person, right? We're asking people who really really know us. So again, it's called How Do You See Me? And I'll put that product in the notes here. So here's one more critical question you need to ask yourself. Which of these things that you just listed, which of these things have you completely abandoned? Maybe you stopped doing the things that light you up when you became a mother because maybe you thought, no, those things need to take a back seat because taking care of these kids is more important. And you're not wrong. I wouldn't say that you have to give up everything to be a mother, nor do you have to be a mother who doesn't have any passion. Sometimes we need to reconnect with who we are to know what kind of mother we're going to be, how we're going to lead our kids with our strengths and not abandon them for the sake of our kids, you know? For a lot of moms who are burnt out, the answer to this question is all of them. I've abandoned all of them, Jen, because I don't know why, but I know that I haven't felt like myself in a long time. And if that is you, Mama, please hear me. You don't have to live like this. You don't. You don't have to give up who you are to be a mom. In fact, what makes you who you are makes you a unique type of mom to your kids. So when I work with moms and I do personal coaching, I have them do an energy audit, especially if they come to me just tired and confused by what they should be doing, and they know they want to but they can't quite find the time or the resources or the energy. I have them do an energy audit, and what this looks like is this. So first I have them list everything that they do in a typical week. Be comprehensive, I tell them. Wake up, make breakfast, homeschool, drive to activities, just list everything that they put their energy toward. Okay. And then the second thing is mark each item. So basically, this is a color coding system. So mark each item that they do as green for energy giving and red for energy draining. All right. And be honest, some things are necessary but draining. Like to me, laundry and dishes are stinking draining, but I get through them by, I don't know, watching a show on my phone or something, to be honest, right? Like sometimes I have to distract myself to get through the really draining thing. Some things are optional and energizing, like morning walks. I go for walks with my neighbor and her dog. We have fun doing that, and we connect, and I get outside and I feel more like myself, and I'm ready to conquer the day. But some things are draining and optional, like a committee you joined out of guilt, or saying yes to throwing that birthday party when you could have made it a lot simpler, but hey, you kept going and you kept going. But some things we do for the love of our kids, and other things we're just like, okay, I guess I'm doing this now. And then the next step I have them do is to notice the ratio. For most burnt out moms, the ratio is like 90% red and 10% green. If you're spending all your time doing things that deplete you and spending almost no time doing things that restore you, then there's part of the answer right there. But at the same time, if you don't think you can say no to any of the red things, we got a different kind of problem. So this is where in personal coaching, I will walk women back on their why. Why do you choose to put your time in here? Why do you feel like you have to? And if they feel like they have to, maybe a conversation is in order. Maybe a conversation with their spouse or with their family, or rethinking priorities and values is what needs to happen next. And then the last step in the energy audit is to identify one green thing that you've abandoned. What one thing that gives you life and energy that maybe you can slip back into your life? Maybe it's painting. Maybe it's having a coffee by yourself in the morning. Maybe it's growing things again. Maybe you had a garden and you don't do that anymore, but it actually gave you life when you used to do it, Maybe it's playing pickleball. I don't know. Maybe whatever it is that you love to do, find an outlet. And it doesn't mean you have to commit yourself to it right away, but I'm saying identify it first. Or maybe make a list of green things that you could add back into your life. Identify what could be. And then slowly work yourself into deciding, could this be once again? Now I'm going to share some examples with you of moms that I've coached through this process. Names have been changed for their privacy, but I'm still going to share their stories with their permission. So Rachel's energy audit revealed that she was doing 47 different activities every week. Homeschooling 4 kids, managing household logistics, volunteering at church, coordinating sports schedules, cooking almost 3 meals a day from scratch. Out of 47 activities, 2 were giving her energy: her Tuesday morning Bible study and her Friday coffee date with a friend. But here's what her energy audit revealed. Before kids, Rachel was a voracious reader. She would read 50 plus books a year: fiction, theology, history, memoirs. Reading actually made her come alive. It energized her mind, it expanded her perspective, it gave her joy. She hadn't read a single book for pleasure in over 3 years. Her green thing to add back was this, and it was small and it was simple. Rachel decided to add 30 minutes of reading before bed. That's it. Not hours of reading like she used to do before, just 30 minutes. Within 2 weeks, Rachel came back to me and said that she felt more like herself than she had in years. In years. Her mood improved, her patience with her kids increased, her creativity in homeschooling actually expanded, and one 30-minute deposit into her energy bank account created huge ripple effects. It did, because she was putting her energy back into herself. And it wasn't selfish, right? She was just returning to who she had always been, but she was allowing herself to experience that joy again. What kind of joy can you add back into your life today? What simple 30-minute, maybe it's 15 minutes, maybe it's 5 minutes of joy. Start small and build on it and see what happens. My second example is my friend Amanda. She was this working mom who stopped creating. So Amanda's audit showed that she was working 50 hours a week at her corporate job, spending evenings and weekends managing her household and kids, and squeezing in exercise whenever she could. Her energy-giving activities were 0. She could seriously not think of one that brought her joy. But before kids, Amanda was artistic. She painted, she did calligraphy, she created homemade cards, she decorated her home with original art and created things with her hands. That made her feel alive, was using her hands to be creative. But her craft supplies had been sitting in the garage for like 6 years. She hadn't even opened them, and a lot of the paint was dry by now, so she couldn't envision starting that up again, because doing all that crafting felt like so much more work on top of all the responsibilities she has now. So her green thing that she wanted to add back was 20 minutes on Saturday mornings doing calligraphy while her husband took care of breakfast. She's like, I just need Saturday mornings, Jen. If I could just have that. And I was like, well, what's keeping you from having it? She's like, I just haven't asked for it yet. It's like, okay, go ask your husband for that, if he wouldn't mind, using his time that way so that you could use your time for yourself. And she did. She felt that surge of creativity back, and she showed me her calligraphy when we had our next meeting. She says, Jen, I did it. Look, I did it. She started seeing problems differently, and she started approaching challenges with more creativity and like innovation, is the way that she started to solve problems. And then she just remembered why she used to love Saturdays, because she used to give herself time to do that. And now that she's doing it again, she feels more connected with herself. So I was so proud of her for making those choices. And then my last friend, the mom, we'll call her Lisa. She was a stay-at-home mom who stopped using her voice, literally. So when I did Lisa's audit with her, it revealed that she was doing household tasks all the time. They were they seemed endless, okay? She was managing 3 kids under 5 years old and volunteering in multiple capacities at her church and in kids' activities. She was basically a yes girl. She hated to say no because she hated to disappoint people. So we had to get through this mindset shift here, okay? Her energy giving activities was playing with her kids when she wasn't exhausted, which was kind of rare. You know, she's that bubbly sort of preschooly kind of mom where she really, really loves playing with her kids, but all the other stuff would just keep getting in the way. So, but before kids, she used to sing. She was in the choir at her college, and she used to lead worship at church. She sang in a community theater program. Music is what made Lisa come alive. She described singing as when I felt most connected to God and most like myself. She hadn't sung in 4 years except when she sang to her babies, when she sang lullabies and nursery rhymes to them. So her green thing to add back was to join the church worship team, which meant 1 practice per week and 1 Sunday per month leading worship. But because she was involved in so many other things, I said, Lisa, so that sounds great, but what are you going to get rid of? What can you drop if you're going to add this other thing? Because it's yet another church ministry to commit to, you know, what are you going to drop so that you can add something that's life-giving? So she said, you know, okay, I can drop this, I can drop that, I can drop helping with the homeless ministry. So the other things that she was involved in were more obligatory than anything. And she had to find the peace to give herself the permission, really, to add something that was more for her than just for other people. And a couple episodes ago, we talked about giving yourself permission, because nobody else is going to give it to you unless you identify what it is you need, right? So when you do that, you're going to find life in just living who you are instead of what other people expect you to be. And that's what Lisa did. She joined the church choir, and her husband said, I haven't seen you this happy in years. Her kids started actually singing with her, practicing with her at home. And she reconnected to that part of her identity that she thought was lost. It's a choice, mamas. It's a personal choice to choose things that are for you. Because again, when you do that and your kids see you do that, they're going to watch a woman come alive more than they ever thought she could before, you know? So do it for you, do it for them if you need an outside reason to do it, but choose something. Choose something that makes you feel alive. I want you to remember that small deposits compound over time, just like money in a bank account. If you deposit $10 a day into a bank account, after a year, you will have, yes, $3,650. What? There's your next vacation, $10 a day. Hello. It's the small, consistent deposits that make the hugest difference. And gosh, I'm talking to myself when I give this analogy, because if I was better about just putting more money away than spending it on what I feel like I need right now, then I would probably feel like I'd have more energy after that too. Money, the money to energy comparison. You get what I'm saying? So it's the same with energy. The small deposits that we make every day really add up. It adds value to the way that we see ourselves. We become more patient, more creative, more present, and more joyful. And that affects everything: your parenting, your marriage, your work, and even your health. So let me give you 4 practical implementation plans. And these are for moms in different stages of motherhood. Okay, so this first one is plan 1 for the mom with babies and toddlers. So your green thing, the green thing that gives you energy, needs to be accessible, needs to be compatible with nap times. It needs to be home-based, and it needs to be interruptible, most likely, okay? So here's some ideas: reading, journaling, painting, taking an online class, a phone call with a friend, knitting, gardening, things like that, okay? You get the picture. You can implement this during the first nap of the day, 15 to 20 minutes before you do anything else. Not housework first, not email first, green thing first. Do it first. Here's plan number 2. This is for the homeschool mom. So your green thing needs to either be early morning during independent work time, which you can schedule into all of your children's homeschool schedules, or it can be done in the evening after the kids are in bed. Those are the most likely scenarios to complete your green thing. So examples of this could be writing, exercise, a hobby, online learning, a creative project, a business task that you actually enjoy. And you can implement this as you build it into your homeschool schedule, but you have to actually schedule it. Just like you schedule your kids' activities, schedule your green thing activities. Protect that thing like you protect your kids' education. This is plan number 3 for the working mom, all right? Your green thing needs to be either during your lunch break, before work, or intentionally scheduled evening or weekend. And this could be once a week or once a month. Just regularly schedule it so you have it to look forward to, okay? So examples can be taking a walk at lunchtime, a morning creative time, an evening class, a weekend hobby, or a monthly retreat. The implementation practice here is to put it into your work calendar. Treat it like a meeting. Treat it like a non-negotiable. Call it professional development, because it probably is. It's going to keep you from burning out at work too, all right? And here's plan number 4. This is for the mom in survival mode. So you either have multiple kids, you're a single parent, or something along those lines. Or maybe you have special needs children. Okay, so think about this. Your green thing needs to be tiny, it needs to be flexible, and it needs to happen in moments that you already have. So examples could be an audiobook during your commute or during chores, podcasts during cooking, during cleaning, hair while you're folding laundry, voice memo journaling. Oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever, because you don't have to search for time to sit down and write things. You can voice memo what you're thinking. Maybe it's a book idea you have. It's reminders to yourself, affirmations that you're recording to yourself to listen to later. Maybe you're recording the best days that you've had with your kids, because you feel like best days are, few and far between, or there's too much chaos to recognize the great things that happen during the day. So voice memo those things. And then you'll have a collection of these blessings that come throughout your hard days, and you can make an appointment to listen to them again once a week or once a month, or whenever you need that reassurance and that reminder that you're not failing, you're not drowning, you're doing your best, and there are all these wonderful moments that come up even during the hard times. Do that for yourself. Do yourself that favor and try recording your moments, because you may not have time to write them down. So when you're a mom in survival mode that looks like this, you have to fit this into already existing time, okay? It's not, you've got to stack it with something you already do, because you may not be able to create new time, but you can transform existing time. So how did the 3 pillars of Enough Mom fit into this message? I'm so glad you asked. I'm going to tell you. Courage. It takes courage to admit that you're burnt out when everyone says you should be grateful. Anyway, it takes courage to stop glorifying exhaustion as proof of good motherhood. And it takes courage to reclaim the parts of yourself that motherhood buried. Our culture worships maternal martyrdom. We celebrate moms who sacrifice everything, who never rest, who give until there's nothing left. We call them dedicated. We call them selfless and amazing. You're so amazing. Isn't she amazing? But we don't talk about the depression, the anxiety, and the resentment, and the rage that often accompanies this self-abandonment. It takes courage to say, I am burnt out and I need to change something. It takes courage to admit that even though you're grateful for your children, that does not automatically create endless energy. You can be grateful and still be burnt out. Confidence. Confidence comes from knowing yourself well enough to recognize what lights you up and believing that you deserve to feel alive. Confident mothers show their children that women are whole people and not just servants. The more that I reconnect with what makes me come alive, the more lit up I am in every area. It's amazing. I tend to parent with more confidence because I'm not parenting from depletion. I work with more confidence because I'm not working from exhaustion. And I show up more. I show up better in my marriage because I'm not so focused on being resentful when I'm not getting. And my kids are learning that their mama is a whole person. Mama has passions. Mama's using her voice. She's using her giftings. And that motherhood is part of my identity. It's not the totality of it. And that is confidence that I want to pass on. And finally, calling. You weren't designed to burn out in service. Rediscovering what makes you come alive is not frivolous. It's how you sustain the marathon of motherhood with joy instead of resentment. I believe deeply that you were created with a specific design in mind, unique wiring, particular gifts. And when you're lit up, when you're operating in those gifts, doing things that energize you, you are honoring that design. You're being a good steward of the life that you've been given. Burnout is not noble. It's not spiritual. It's not proof of devotion. It's a sign that you've abandoned the life-giving practices that you were designed to operate in. You were designed for restoration. Our brains, our bodies, our skin, everything, we were designed to regenerate, to rest and regenerate, and to operate and function in a way that benefits us and others and the world. Don't let go of that, mama. Reconnect with it again. So as I close up this episode today, I want you to do 3 things. Take an energy audit. Okay. I've included a free worksheet here in the show notes. You can download it, print it out, look it on your phone, whatever. Use it how I walked you through it today on the episode, and go back to it and ask yourself, what do I need to reconnect with? So download your energy audit worksheet today. The next thing I want you to consider is book a coaching session with me, because I would love to walk you through these steps. I would love to help you untangle what it is you've been so wrapped up in, or what's making you feel tense or tight inside. And I would love to help you to let go enough so you can move forward in confidence and you can finally show yourself and your family the woman that's been in there all along. In one 90-minute breakthrough session, we will do a deep dive on this. We will do a deep dive on this energy audit together. We'll identify what you've abandoned, and I'll create your personalized revival plan. This is intensive transformational work, and you will leave with clarity and a concrete plan. These sessions are $100, but I promise you that they're worth every penny, because this is an investment you're making in yourself. So take full advantage of this breakthrough today and book your session with the link in the show notes. Go there now. The last thing I'd love for you to do is share this episode with a friend. If it has touched you, if it's lit something up inside of you, if it's given you great ideas for how to move forward, or if you see the signs of burnout in another friend, just forward her this episode. Just share it with her, because it's free, right? It's information like this is free, but only you can choose what you do with it next. Okay. It's been a pleasure to be here with you once again. This has been the Enough Mom podcast. I'm Jennifer Bryant, and I would love to help you to find the courage to walk with confidence as you find your calling. You can do it, mama. You can do it. I'll see you next time.